What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Hope all you're having a great day so far today. Hope you all are staying cool because it is hot as shit today. It is like 92 degrees right now. This heat is insane. Like, I cannot stand cold ass weather. I said cold ass weather, hot ass weather. um, so anyway, getting into this episode of GH. Listen, I totally understand where Jax is coming from as far as the safety of his daughter. I get it. Totally get it. Um I respect his concerns. You know, any parent would have concerns over their child's safety. But my issue with Jax is I feel like he never sees the bigger picture to things. Like for years he's always hated Sonny, and he's tolerated Jason because he felt like Jason was always a lesser of two evils. I don't know why. But it's like he just never sees the big picture to things. It's like if it wasn't for Jason and Sonny for all these years, don't get me wrong, I do agree with Jax on the fact that, you shouldn't be worshiping Sonny and Jason as heroes because they're definitely not. At the end of the day, they're still career criminals, so that's not something to worship. You know what I'm saying? So I get them on that. But don't shit on them either because for years, Sonny and Jason have kept drugs out of Port Charles. Look what happened when Cyrus popped up into Port Charles. It was to the point where kids, college students, kids his daughter's age, were overdosing on drugs. And that was because of Cyrus. Look at Britt. She was emotional during that time because she had to sit there and inform the parents of their child's passing of a drug overdose. It had profound effects on her. You know what I mean? So you sit here and you condemn Sonny and Jason all the time, but it's like they've worked hard and tireless to keep that type of shit out of their town, so that no child would ever have to deal with that. No parent would ever have to bury their child. You know what I mean? Like this is what they've done. They worked hard to keep that type of shit out of their town, and Jax is just ignoring all of that. Look what happens when you don't have Sonny or Jason running things in that town. You get guys like Cyrus Renault. What would have happened years ago if the Zakaras would have snuffed out the Corinthos organization? You really would have been okay with Claudia and Anthony running the town? You would have been okay with that? Are you nuts? Anthony was a psychopath. Claudia was no better. She had psycho tendencies her damn self. You know what I mean? It's like, think about the bigger picture. Who would you rather have? At the end of the day, he's sitting here blaming Jason and Sonny for everything, talking about, oh, because he was pissed because Britt was defending Jason, talking about, oh, after all the damage Jason has done. What the hell are you talking about? If Jason and Sonny were not in that town being, in charge of things, you would have a way worse mafia family in that town. There would be bloodshed in that town probably every day. Because at least Sonny and Jason have a code. You know what I mean? They don't do certain things. They just make their money and go about their business. They actually try to keep the peace. They don't try to escalate wars. They try to de-escalate them. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, think. Without them running the town, it's like you would have somebody way worse. And that's what you don't want. You do not want that. And I do agree with Britt. At the end of the day, he could say whatever he want about Jason, but Jason has saved a lot of people's lives. Even when their problems had nothing to do with the mafia, he still saved their lives. So for Jax to sit there and bitch and complain all the time, I'm like, that's why I kind of wish that they would have, temporarily, they would have let Cyrus win and let him kind of take control, because then I would like to see what Jax would have had to say then. You know what I mean? Without Sonny and Jason running things. Like, he's an idiot. Like, you think, oh, if Jason and Sonny weren't around, the mob violence would stop? Hell no, it wouldn't stop. You would still have mobsters around, some worse than others. Idiot. Like, Jackson, he doesn't think. It's like he really doesn't think. And mind you, Britt is still angry and hurt over what Jason did, but yet she still defends him because she knows it's true. It ain't hero worshiping, it's just you being honest and telling the truth and telling it like it is. And Jackson need to calm the hell down. So anyway, moving on from that, it's so funny because when Jocelyn was talking to Carly and Jason and stuff like that, she started asking them about their wedding plans, like the wedding date and stuff like that. They still haven't set a wedding date. Carly quickly shut her down. And I was wondering why Carly did that. Like, she was like, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be going to meet with your friends?" I was like, "Why is she shutting her down like that?" That's a good question. When are y'all supposed to be getting married? Because the whole point of this engagement was for y'all to get married to show your alliance and show that you're strong. Why are y'all dragging y'all feet on this wedding? God knows I don't want it to happen, but it's like, what's the holdup? You know what I mean? Like, are y'all trying to have a big formal wedding? You're trying to have something low key? Like, y'all could simply just go down to the Justice of the Peace and just slap some rings on, say some vows, sign the marriage certificate, and boom, you're done, Mr. and Mrs. Morgan. Why not just do that? I'm just saying, skip all the, the frills. Keep it low key, keep it simple, and handle business. Um, I understand where Carly coming from. Like, she had that hallucination, that vision of Sonny or whatever, where he was like, it's easier said than done because after Jason left, she was just like, it's kind of hard to let go, but she needs to let go of the past. I'm like, well, damn, your husband's only been gone for 8 months. You already consider it the past? Like, it's fairly recent. I was like, but okay, and she was talking about some, oh, it's time to let go, worry about the now, the future, and all that stuff. I'm like, okay. Um, it is hard to let go. It is. It's easier said than done because in her mind, she's like, okay, I gotta focus on right now. I can't focus on Sonny. I can't focus on what the past was. But I'm like, it wasn't that long ago. He's only been gone less than a year. You know what I mean? It's like that's not the past to me. That's still fairly recent. You know what I mean? The past is like 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, 10 years ago. That's the past. A decade ago, 20 years ago. That's the past. This is still fairly new. So it's like, I don't see how she could think that at all. Honestly, though, I'm hoping that they wrap up this Mike Sonny situation. I get that Maurice Bernard is happy playing Mike, because it's something different for him. It's something new. He's been playing Sonny for 28 years now, so I totally get where he's coming from. But Mr. Bernard, sir, you've had 8 months to play this new role. I'm happy that you had 8 months of fun, but I need you to snap out of it. I need the writers to write you back in here, get you on a suit, come back. Come on now. I need this to be a wrap ASAP. Frank Valentini, Chris, I need all y'all to handle this. Get it right. Um, I need this to be done. I have really come to like the Lenny and Phyllis character. I don't understand why they talking like Lenny is about to die. I hope not. My thing was, if I remember correctly, they never said he was terminal. They never said he was at a terminal stage, but everybody talking like he's terminal or something. Talking about quality of life and, spending every moment that they can and enjoying the life while they got it. I'm like, is he dying tomorrow? I understand, being prepared. I get that, like you just want to be prepared and stuff because you never know what can happen. I get it, and cancer is such a shaky thing. I trust me, I know I had like two grandparents that went through cancer. One survived it, one didn't, so I totally understand. Um, I hope Lenny don't die. I really liked him, but it was crazy watching Lenny, come back in. He was so happy to be back home and stuff like that, and I get it, being in a hospital is not one's favorite place to be. So I understand why he was anxious to get back home and stuff like that. He was so full of life. Like, he wanted him and, Phyllis to be dancing, and Phyllis gave an emotional speech and stuff like that. And they were just dancing, and then he started being all out of breath and stuff. I said, oh, Lord. I think Lenny, he definitely overdid it a little bit, but I'm glad that he still feel like he's full of life and he doesn't want to show any signs of slowing down. He basically doesn't want the cancer to beat him. He wants to show the cancer that I can whoop your ass. You know what I mean? So I like that spirit, that fighting spirit. It's like that's what you have to do when you have an illness. You have to keep fighting, you know, but with limits, of course, because you don't want to overexert yourself now and land back into the hospital. That's what you don't want to do. Um, But I'm glad him and Phyllis are talking about taking a trip and stuff that they've been putting off. I said, good. I love shit like that because that's how I've been living my life lately. A lot of stuff that I put off, I've been doing, and I'm glad. It's made me a happier person, and it's like that's a good thing because especially with everything going on in the world, it's like have fun. Everything that you put off, pick that shit back up and do it. Finally get it done. If you want to paint your walls, if you want to remodel, do it. It's like life is too short, man. Got to do it. So I love the spirit of Lenny and Phyllis. They're like, you know what? I think the cancer diagnosis really put things into perspective for them, and they're like, you know what? It showed us that we really don't have a whole lot of time like we thought we did. So let's stop bullshitting and let's get this done. Like, let's go on this trip. Let's enjoy each other more. Let's do that. Nina, the way she was talking, telling Sonny how they need to enjoy the time, whatever, however long they got left with each other and stuff like that. And I think the reason she was saying all that is because she knows sooner or later her time is going to be up with him. Because there's a big chance. She knows that in the back of her mind, the chances of somebody from Port Charles popping up again is likely. The chances of Sonny out of nowhere remembering everything is likely. So I think that's why she just wants to enjoy whatever little time they got left. And Sonny picked up on that too. He was like, "You talking about Lenny and Phyllis, or you talking about me and you?" So she know what time it is. She know that their little dalliance is almost up, and she damn well know it. So get used to it. Um. So anyway, moving on from that. Ava shocks me, because I was so ready for Ava to put her foot up Spencer's ass. I was so ready for it. But she surprises me, and that's what I love about Ava, because if this was Ava like 2, 3 years ago, Spencer would have had a gun pointed in his face by now. But, Ava was giving Spencer the benefit of the doubt. She was, didn't believe that he was the stalker and stuff when Nicholas told her. But he was like, he might not have all the proof or anything like that, but he did catch Spencer in a couple of lies. The letter that he got from Ryan, the dates don't add up from what Spencer was talking about. So, I can understand why Ava was in doubt of all that because she knows that Spencer hates her, but she thought that they had a detente, that they had a truce. I'm like, Ava, you ain't naive, so don't even think that. That boy been, pulling the wool over your eyes. And, Nicholas wants to shut that down. And Ava was like, no. She was like, be careful what you do because she's more worried about Nicholas losing his son again, and this time permanently. That shows the growth of Ava because if this, like I said, if this was a couple years ago, Ava would have went off. And the fact that she's sticking up for Spencer, even though finding out that he was her stalker, he's the reason why her daughter could no longer live with her and she had to send her daughter off to live with somebody that she can't even stand. You know what I mean? Ava 2 years ago would have been pissed. But the fact that she's showing this compassion, that's growth. And I respect it. I respect the growth. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that they're showing these different sides of Ava. Like, we can see the bitch side of her where she will go off and put a bullet in your ass. We can see the emotional side of her, you know what I'm saying, where she has compassion and stuff like that. We also seen the fun side of her. So we seen all these different levels of Ava, and we're continuing to see these different levels to her. And I love it. I love a character with some good layers. Unless you're gonna go all out villain or whatever, I love a character with some layers. Um, so she was basically just telling Nicholas like to slow his roll, but Nicholas like he was like, nah, I gotta nip this in the bud. Because Nicholas was like, some of the shenanigans that Spencer used to pull when he was a child, he said, yeah, that shit was cute, but that was when he was a child. He's a grown man now. This shit ain't cute no more. And I agree. I was like, you're an older kid now. You're not a child anymore. You're not 7, 10 years old. You are 18, 19 or whatever years old. The cute shit is over with. Now it's time to get real. And I love that Nicholas was like, no, I'm putting my foot down on this. He was like, I'm gonna show him a lesson. My thing is, I don't know if that lesson is gonna go the way Nicholas plans it to go. Like, I don't know if he's gonna get the reaction he thinks he's gonna get from Spencer, because he thinks that whatever he plans on doing at the party to um, play Spencer at his own game or whatever, he thinks that it's gonna finally wisen Spencer up and get Spencer to be the son that he, was before, that he wants back. I don't know if you're gonna get that, you know what I'm saying? But he knows that whatever he does, Spencer's gonna be pissed off at him. But he's willing to have a pissed off Spencer rather than a delinquent son. Like he wants to save his son from himself. I just don't think he's going to get that result that he wants. You know what I mean? Because Spencer, he may, flip out and turn full on Cassadine. But see, Nicholas feels like the way Spencer is acting is something that he taught him how to act. And I don't think he did. Because going back, Nicholas never taught Spencer to be, evil and wicked and, this cunning and stuff like that. He never taught him these things. I think that is just naturally in Spencer. And I think it's, a little bit of influence from Helena, because you remember Helena did spend some time with Spencer over the years, talking to him, telling him stories about the Cassadines and stuff. So it's some of her influence too. So I just think that Spencer, the way that he acts, I think it's just naturally how he acts. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think it is. Um, but I agree. I understand where Ava's coming from. She just doesn't want Spencer. She doesn't want Spencer and Nicholas's relationship to be more fragile than what it already is. But I agree with Nicholas's approach too. Enough is enough, and you got to shut it down. Before it gets out of control. It's already out of control. So I can't see what he got. I can't wait to see what he got planned for the party. Like what he intends on doing. It's gonna be quite interesting. Um. So anyway, moving on from that. So Cameron was asking Spencer about the party and stuff like that, and Spencer was telling him how he got his friends from boarding school from Europe flying in. He got the hottest DJ from LA flying in. I said, okay, so Spencer went all out for this party. He asked Britt, of course, to come to the party. My thing was, I understand he was always cool with Britt and they were close, but why would you ask her to come to the party? That's a grown ass woman. Why would she want to party with a bunch of teeny boppers, a bunch of jailbait? Talking about she might meet someone, yeah, and go to jail in the process. Them some little kids. I mean, they legal and whatnot, but still, it's like that's a whole grown ass woman. She is the chief of staff of a hospital, co-chief of staff. What she want with y'all little young asses? Nothing y'all little young boys could do for her. Um, and also basically Spencer wanted his, friends from Europe to come because of course they're just like Spencer, a bit bougie. So he wanted, his Europe friends to come and meet some down to earth people, that's not all bougie and all that type of stuff, to kind of, humanize them, get them some humility and stuff, like make them humble, basically humble thyself. And that's why, Spencer was like, that's what he likes about Trina, because she tells it like it is. She's very humble. She speaks her mind. And that's what he likes about her. I said, okay, Spencer, I get it. I totally get it. It was funny that it was rather symbolic that Spencer was sitting here reading that book, War and Peace. I was like, okay, that's rather symbolic in a way. I said, okay. Spencer keep talking about how this party is gonna be a night to remember. Yeah, it will be. If your daddy got anything to say about it, it's gonna be a night. Trust me on that one. So anyway, moving on from that. Trina went to the hospital. I'm thinking that she went to the hospital to go talk to her mother, but she went to go talk to Aunt Stella. I said, okay. She went to go talk to Stella. And, Curtis was talking to Trina for a little bit or whatever. You know, Trina, I get that she's still angry. I get it. You know what I mean? But she admitted to her mother that she doesn't know why she's angry or who she's really angry at. I think when you have a parent, you hold them to a high regard, especially when you're a kid. You think your parent can't do no wrong. They're like your superhero, your best friend. You hold them to a high esteem, like a pedestal. And I get it. I totally get it. But, they're human at the end of the day. And, she wished that she would have known about what really went down back in the day. But I feel like as I get older, I realize that I don't want to know everything in terms of what happened back in the day with my parents and all that stuff. I don't want to know that. Secrets, family secrets. I don't want to know that shit. It's like, because when you go looking for something and you find it, you get real disappointed by what you find. So it's like some things are better left unsaid and left kept away. you know, it's just, I don't know how everybody else is, but that's just me. I feel like I'd rather be kept in the dark over certain things. Unless it's like really, really life changing, then I would want to know. But other than that, if it's something small, like, oh, granddaddy fucked around with this one back in the day while grandma was at the house cooking, that shit, I don't want to know. I don't need to know that. You know what I mean? I don't need to know that. You know? Stuff like that, little family, every family got their little dirt. We don't need to know all the dirt. So I think that's what it is with Trina. I feel like she thinks she needs to know everything, or she probably feels she's entitled to know things, but it's like you really don't. Because that affair back in the day, it really didn't affect you now, unless we find out again, unless we find out Curtis is your daddy, then all bets are off. I can't defend Portia on that one, but for right now, I can sit here and say, like, you don't need to know everything about your parents' past. Like, you really don't. Shit, my mother don't know half the shit I did when I was a teenager. Do I plan on telling her? No. Like, I don't, because it was over 10 years ago. It's like, what do I need to tell you now for? I don't need to tell you that. I'm taking certain things, I'm taking with me to the grave, and that's my prerogative. Um, I'm glad though that Trina had that conversation with Aunt Stella, and they were able to put things. She wasn't angry with her or whatever. She was very polite, very nice to her and stuff. And Stella actually applauded Portia as a parent and stuff, and as a human, because she was like, Portia got to be somebody special and amazing to have such an amazing daughter and to raise her daughter to be the way that she is. I like that, that she gave her props and stuff like that. And I'm glad that Trina's coming around to her mom and letting her know, like, we're gonna, talk and try to fix this and stuff later on when I get home. I said, good. I'm glad that they're gonna talk and they're gonna fix this mess, because it's something that needs to be fixed at the end of the day. Um. So anyway, that was pretty much the whole episode. Hit the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about it. I will see you all later. Have a great day. Peace.